Three, two, one. What it is? Great chilling hard today with a new guest, first guest of the season. Brought to you by StreamYards, man. This red light come on, and people get a little nervous, but man, we gonna kick it and chill like we always do, bro. Let's go to Dawn.
Oh man,
Welcome to the Great Chilling Podcast, brother.
it's good to see y'all, man.
Good to see you
Going
too,
on?
my man. No doubt.
It's been too long, man. It's been too long.
Yeah, man. Yo, we've been doing some things with like product reviews lately. I did LRG. I had like the Colin Powell Get Up, man, Desert Storm. We did 88 Collection. My boy, Bear Form Fitness. Shout out to him. He has a clothing line. I love supporting all my friends, bro. Like I love supporting my friends. Period. Like you don't have to have a business, right? You can just be you. And I always remember you as a stand-up guy, hardcore fighter, right? Always kept it real, 300,000. And then you came up with Daemon brand, right?
Yeah.
And that's what you do now. So this is a big catch-up. So we'll get into that, right? We'll talk about how you doing. Your military transition from West Point, class of 2011. Talk about some boxing, Tanks from Baltimore. So I turn up every time he's on the ring. He's in the ring. And then just a whole bunch of other stuff, man. And just really understanding about the Daemon brand and what you do. Family. I know you're a father too. What fatherhood looked like for you at this point in your life. And a whole lot more, man. But let's get started. Tell me more about the Daemon brand.
First of all, because you gave me such a good introduction, I have to say, you probably customer number 6, 7, but you're definitely top 10 because meaning you were one of the first people to purchase Daemon when it first launched back in 2018, and you haven't stopped supporting.
That's
So
dope.
that's a long standing. You stand on business, and when he says he supports friends, he means it. So salute you, man. Thank you for always supporting, brother.
Yeah, man. I gave LB a coupon, but he didn't want to use it.
Now you get it full price, LB.
Here we go.
That discount.
Hey, the owner can tell me that I got to oblige.
Come over to the Daemon side beans.
You're paying full
You're
price.
like, you ain't getting everything in this kit. Whatever bundle you order, come up short.
Things out. No, I always hook it up for my friends.
That's what's
So,
up. Man.
I mean, you guys know, being in the military, especially at West Point, I mean, I was out there shaving every day, getting bumps. I was all raspy. I was breaking out from the military cap every day. You had to wear it. I was always using products that were sold at the PX, which, typically highly chemically infused products. So this story, I have to be honest, it starts with love, man. I met my wife, and she put me on the all natural, crunchy lifestyle, as they call it. So that's the name of it, man. It's a crunchy lifestyle.
Rewind. Can you rewind to explain what you just said, please?
Yeah, in the green, quote unquote, clean community, they call it crunchy.
Oh.
You start raising chickens, you start riding horses, and you start living off the land. And this goes hand in hand with that because it's all natural. We're only using
the clean product. I got
organic, very clean, close to the earth products. So she's the genius of innovating the product, of creating the formulations. And, with our background from West Point, I stepped in and started running a lot of the operations. And that's kind of what we do today. I'm here at our office in Colorado. We moved it from Seattle. And yeah, man, Daemon's been a labor of love, and it's been a lot of convincing for military, businessmen, artists to say, it's time to try clean products. It smells different, it feels different, and it performs differently. And there's an education process that goes into that to get people to switch from what's corporately sold and distributed at every drugstore, corner store, to this more elegant product, really, is what it is.
I could really sense that when you started out. I always sense that about you. And for my journey, LB, when I saw from him on Instagram, and he started the Daemon brand, he committed to a whole Instagram page for the Daemon brand. Like Esco is the Daemon brand. This is the CEO of the Daemon brand. And I think when you first started, it was very minimalist. I needed to be minimalistic. Like I feel minimalist. I'm a minimalist, right?
Okay.
And a lot of you have a subscription. You actually write out to your subscribers and your customers more about the Daemon brand, right? It's not just skincare products. Like you have an entire brand behind Daemon. And tell me more about like what that is. Because like whatever that is, I feel like I'm aligned with in terms of just being yourself. Like I think that's what I get the most out of it, right? It's just be yourself.
Well, I appreciate that, and I can't take all the credit. I mean, when it really started off, I have to rewind the story back to like 2017 because I people who are from LA will know this part of Los Angeles is called Topanga Canyon, and Topanga Canyon is known for being sort of hippieville in the mountains, in the cabins, doing all sorts of crazy shit up in there. So, so I ended up getting a small cabin in Topanga, and I'm living out there, and I'm reading Joseph Campbell and Carl Jung. Joseph Campbell was a professor at Sarah Lawrence College for probably over 30 years, and he wrote his key book is The Hero of a Thousand Faces, and it's comparative religion, it's mythology, and then Carl Jung, whom he relied on heavy, was a depth psychologist who pioneered a whole field of psychology. And the point of it is in that work, the daemon is known as the higher self. In order to get
That's what I was going to get at. He's
in
answering
order
all the
to get to
questions
your
you
higher
had.
self, you have to be authentic, man. You have to really come guns blazing. You have to be embarrassed. You have to be out of your comfort zone. And the first part of the hero's journey from Joseph Campbell is the call to adventure. And if you believe that every soul has a calling, you will receive some prick in the heart, in the soul, that will say, this is your adventure. And it's on you to leave your hometown, leave your house, and go into the dark wood. And that's the whole journey. And so Daemon is really a term that Carl Jung used to touch on that adventure to the higher self. So I nabbed some of those ideas because I was inspired.
Man, I knew we was gonna get into some deep stuff, but that's
right, yo.
Always never ceases to amaze, man. Because I'm not gonna lie, I was a little jokester probably back in the day, right? So
yeah,
all
but
the stuff you explained. You said what?
I want to be a jokester. I want some of what you have, man.
Nah, man. So what I'm getting at is all the stuff you explained. I'm not gonna lie, like I was way more. I thought it would be a way more simple response of how this came to fruition. So like, my mind is like, whoa, because what I was thinking, I was like, man, Esco was always clean cut to me. Like just that typical boxer, right? De La Hoya. I used to like De La Hoya.
He was a golden boy.
He's the one that goes in the ring and comes out clean every time, right? You never know he did 12 rounds, right?
Bro, he's still clean right now. Look like all he did was put on the beard and just like.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So to me, I'm thinking Esco just gonna be like, man, I like staying, pretty. You know what I'm saying? So came up with this, like, he like, nah, man, it's a whole elaborate, what I mean, design plan, and I think that I love it. I love it. The background. We talked about great chilling our thing, and Lamar will tell you, like, that's kind of how we felt too with doing. We wanted to make it mean something, right? Not just come up with something, which takes time. And how long would you say that took? How long would you say that took before you actually pulled the trigger on it? From getting to that point where you're like, all right, we're ready to go. Time. It's going to be Daemon brand. How long was that process?
Lamar will attest too. I mean, it's sort of still evolving because when I first came out with the concept, it was a little bit all over the place because I was touching on everything. I was touching on politics, religion, the whole nine. I couldn't hold myself back. So the real process, man, I would say it's been about 5 years to feel really comfortable with what the concept is, who we're marketing to, what we're selling, how we're presenting ourselves. I don't think there's any shortcuts either, LB.
I like that. Yeah.
There's no shortcuts, bro. It just like in boxing, your jab's gonna suck for years. You might get a clean hit here and there, but you're not gonna be sharp. And it just takes years of repetition and being kind of foolish. And I think now we kind of have our swing, and it's working. It's doing well.
And you said foolish, but it's more taking them chances, right? Like them. That's what you mean, right? Them calculated risk. Like, hey, let's take the shot. Yeah, hit or miss type.
I would even continue to add foolish in there because honestly, on Instagram, when you're going out there and you're trying to find your voice and you're trying to sound well, first of all, Instagram is not marketing. That's the first lesson I learned after these first 5 years. Instagram is not marketing. You can post all day long and nobody's going to care. And more so today. Back when we were in school in 2011 and 2010 and
good point.
Yeah, we go back to the prep school. So back in 2007, Instagram was new. Now it's saturated and everything's really been it's been played out for a while now, man.
But once you think that's how like most things really are, right? Like when the
Oh yeah.
first car was designed, now there's a whole bunch of cars. Car market saturated, but you can still buy one for about $80,000. You know what I mean?
You can still make it pop on Instagram, but it's not the only way to market.
I would say that it may not be like everything you just mentioned from Carl Jung, right? The call to adventure, the higher version of yourself. Like I said before, right? I look at I don't buy products that I feel like are not me
Of
or don't
course.
represent me. Like everything I have on, I feel like it's just it's a part of me, and the Daemon brand just feels like me. And you know, I love this conversation. I just love catching up with you, Esco and LB. Like we talk all the time.
No.
Why not try to put that into a vehicle that delivers and that you can monetize? But the ironic part about it is that like I don't need Instagram, I don't need YouTube, I don't need Twitter, I don't need Facebook, I don't need any of this. I don't need any. I just need catch up time. But if I'm going to do it, I want to block some time on it, and I want to try to make sure that we are elevating and promoting the best people in the world. Like you know what I'm saying, and doing it on a stage. You know what I mean, where you can actually bring people together. So I mean, I don't. Yeah,
Don't get me wrong. This is a wonderful opportunity that we all have.
yeah,
You can put out a message any time of the day, and that's kind of mind blowing because that just didn't exist when we were kids growing up in the 90s. But literally, you can reach millions if you put it together and you package it right and you give people content and things they value. You guys know that, so it's a wonderful opportunity, man, and it's great to have conversations with people you like.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Ginger ale.
And honestly, it's getting after you graduate from college, it's like, man, it is hard to make friends. It's a little different.
You judge them a little bit much, right? It's the
Man.
little things you just like, yeah. So last time hanging.
Yeah, they weren't with me in Beast Barracks.
It's like they haven't gone through the rigor yet.
And that's what I think is dope is that, for all y'all out there as well, is that Esco, he's a boxer, right? Me and Lamar played football, but the athletes tend to gravitate together, right? So it pretty much was that mix there. I'll be honest, was football players with Esco was one of them boxers, right? You remember Danilo, who would go out, hang out, and somehow we had Astorga. We somehow had this bond going.
Bro, Anthony,
and I'll be honest, for Esco, I always say it's like, I was like, without you guys, period, I wouldn't have probably. I'll be honest. I said this on a few of our episodes before. I was like, man, without football, meeting those guys in the locker room, and then as well as you guys as well that play different sports, right? Not boxing, basketball players, like we just gravitated together because we knew we were all enduring, right? Physical fitness at all times, practice, schoolwork. We didn't know what we were doing. Like study halls.
Bro, some of my favorite memories were going to your guys' barracks room and hanging out with the football players. We're kicking it with them today. And it would be me, Danilo, Terrell.
Yeah. Terrell, Anthony. Oh, man.
Yanni Garcia. Shout out to them guys. So the boxers and the football players, we were a tight gang back then.
Do you have a story that you could tell that you could really? Were you guys both in the same company in prep school?
With who?
You and LB, was y'all in the same?
No, I don't think in prep school.
Me and LB,
I had Astorga. I was chilling with Astorga.
Yeah, he was with Jimmy all the time.
Oh, but y'all wasn't in the same company though? When y'all in Alpha or whatever? No, because y'all last names wasn't. Oh, okay.
That is interesting though, because I think it was like that, won't it?
My name
was because that's how
Astorga. 3 companies.
Yeah, he's an Alpha company.
I never really thought
about. Esco had a name change.
No,
now they messed them up.
Well, now that you mentioned at the prep school, yeah, that makes sense. I was Hanau, and they put me with Martin Lee and Hami. I was with Hami and Marcelli and Dario.
Ooh, you're naming legends now. You're getting the legend talk, bro. Dario, bro.
Hami was one of your centers, wasn't he? Wasn't he a football center?
Hami was dope.
Yeah, smart guy.
Hami run circles around us in the research laboratory.
That made me think too, man. We all had them numbers, man. They would come on the intercom and call you down by your number.
Bravo 09er, bro.
Yeah, we weren't even worthy enough to have names.
I know, right? I remember too. For some reason, I was Charlie 34, bro. Like
you never forget it. You'll never forget it, man.
That's crazy.
You'll never forget it.
We all had numbers, bro. And you had your number on the intercom. Yeah, you know you was just about to like have to jump through some
you in trouble, man. It never was just to say hi.
Bro, we had our numbers duct taped to our helmets, our waistbands. I had B09 right here.
Yo, they made us write it on our socks, bro. Like
I don't know if we went that far on my side.
No, I get it serious.
No, at prep school, he's right, bro. They walked us over to the bubble, and you had initial everything with the Bravos.
That's probably why I was doing overhead arm clap show. Probably didn't follow the directions.
Yeah, that was you in the corner, bro.
That was me.
Hey, watch this. Watch what I'm gonna do right here for this great chilling segment right here. Watch this. Look, let's go. Do you remember anything from the bubble incident?
Oh man!
All right. Before we talk about the bubble incident or any other activities at the prep school, I finally just want to unbox this right now, bro.
Let's do that. I love his. Lamar does the best product reviews. Yeah. Just to let you know.
Leave with the clip hanger on the bubble, and just want to go ahead. So as I open this up, tell me about your boxing process, because I love how this is.
I do too. I like that.
I like this, and I like this the Daemon brand right there. Like I love this. Tell me about your.
Yeah, no, process. that's part of the branding. That's the Ouroboros, and again, it's a mythological symbol. Mm-hmm. Life eats life, and the idea behind that is the snake will consume itself, and it will shed its skin, and you'll be reborn. And the way to your higher self is essentially you got to die to your old self. And every religion in the world talks about essentially dying to your old self to pick up a higher way. And
that rebirth.
Yeah, it sounds a little overused nowadays because there's a huge, new age and spiritual community that's burgeoning in the world. But they're onto something. If you look at
Well, it's got a scent to it when you open it up. Is there like a scent that you've infused into like the wrapping, or
that's just the natural ingredients coming out of the bottles, man?
That's wild, bro.
It's sealed.
I thought a piece of Esco's hair fell into the package, and you opened it, and it was like,
bro, that's a unicorn. Just
that's dope, though. That's dope.
No, so this is like kind of like what I usually like to order. And tell me about some of your challenges.
Oh, it's because you got the soap. You got Spice Caravan, so that's gonna be.
Soap. That's what the smell is. I got the soap, sure. the Spice Caravan. You know what I mean? Daemon product. You know what I'm saying? It's dope.
That's a cold processed soap aged for 90 days. So it's a little different than triple milled soap, which is essentially they're not always toxic, but they're typically chemical reactions with a lot of synthetic products in it. So when it's cold processed, you're doing old fashioned soap making, just like they did in Marseille hundreds of years ago. So once
I guess off of that, Esco, just sorry to cut you off, but I just wanted to ask real quick because I probably would have forgot if I didn't chime in. But so testing wise, right? When you make these products, create these products, right? Do you the samples? Sometimes people give samples out, right? Fitness wise, you know how that goes, right? Hey, try this pre-workout, see how it works, and that's how they kind of test the market. So is it a similar process with you when you're creating your products?
So we offer samples more and more on the website now. We've been optimizing it so people can order samples and test it out. But when you're talking about basically like research and development, creating the product, essentially, man, the testing is myself and my wife, and then we bring it out, and we bring it out to the people in our office. They try it, and we, depending on we have about 7 employees now, and
congratulations.
We'll try it around the office. Appreciate it, and we'll send it to some family members. And in the very beginning, when we first had the core products, which is what Lamar tried way back when, it's the Daemon bundle. It was the big 4. It was the face oil, the cleanser, the perfume, or the cologne, and the scrub. So that was the 4, and we sent those out to a bunch of people. Tons of people. So we probably gave away like 50 bundles in the beginning, and people were like, oh, I love this. And we got great feedback. And some of that
That's what I was
feedback,
gonna say. The feedback part. Yep.
like one of the things we've been wanting to change is the cleanser comes in a very small bottle. One of our football brethren, that's a great friend of mine, Tyler Huffstetter, he loves the cleanser.
Hey, oh,
Shout out to Huff. He loves
Yeah.
the cleanser. And Huff is, you know, probably like 6'3". You know, he's a bigger guy. And the bottle's so small, and the pump only squirts out a tiny amount. So we changed. So it's a big, you know, it's a big hand with a tiny bottle. So we changed the pump to produce, you know, give more product in one pump. But we do need to upsize the bottle and the packaging. So, but you know, when you step in a new sizing, it's almost like you're relaunching the product too, because you know, then that cleanser can really be kind of like an all-in-one cleanser, body wash. So we get feedback, man. We try that.
So I ordered the soap where we talked about that. I just see the word paprika too in it, and coconut. Like I'm just, man, those are like anti-inflammatory properties, right? So, well, they contain anti-inflammatory properties. And then the cedar face wash. This is a favorite of mine too as
I
well.
like that bottle.
You know, I keep that in my shower. Saw your tutorials. You know, I love this. And then I want to highlight something, and I'll ask you a question too, right? So I love the packaging of this. This is one of my favorite products because I put this on. This is a roller Essence Home. Home. You know, you can roll it on. Yeah. How's it pronounced?
You know, we say Essence Ohm.
Oh, Om. Okay. Home. Essence Om. It's like cologne. But I call it Ome.
Oh, there you go.
My Ome. I used to wear this on every morning in the Army before I went to PT because it's not too strong, it's not too light, and the smell wakes me up.
Yeah.
The smell of this wakes me up. It makes me feel refreshed. Right. So like I just wake up in the morning. This is the first thing that I was doing. You know what I'm saying? You can put it right here. You know what I mean? Put it in my back, put it everywhere. I just, you know what I'm saying? Be like, let's go. And I feel like different. You feel what I'm saying? I can do whatever. Now the question. Got the on that in me.
You just sold 1,000 of those. Like,
bro. He knows how to do the product.
Dog, how do you compete with on the shelf stuff? Like, what do you do? You know, like you said, you can go to the PX, Safeway down the street, Giant, Walmart. They got products for days for people. Costco got. How do you compete? Like, with this such an amazing set of products, how do you compete with those out there?
You know, there's a lot of product, there's a lot of perfumery, there's a lot of people launching new things every day. But what we have found to work is we found a segment of women, happily married, you know, mothers and wives that are really looking to give their men higher tier experiences. And they often rely on great expert influencers online. So we've been able to partner with a few low tox, green beauty, clean switching moms online who really promote the product for us, put it on their webpage, put it on their, you know, link tree, and we've been moving product that way. And I have to say, going back to the way it makes you feel in the morning, you know, sandalwood is a proven mood enhancer, and it was used in the Far East, it's used in India, it's used in Southeast Asia for its mood enhancing properties. And
I love it, man. I love it. I love that.
It's a happy aroma. It's an aphrodisiac.
Yeah, I really
incredible.
love your transparency too, man. I can only appreciate that because this is who you got with Esco. You know, he's going to be honest, straightforward. Not too many people are going to say, oh, we need to get a bigger, larger bottle, right? But that just shows, like, you know, he really is trying to, you know, help people put things out there that matter, you know. So I think that's pretty dope, Esco.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So going back to the bubble, so Jergy I think he might have retired as a comedian.
Nah, hell no, he's performing every weekend. Yeah, man.
Man, he was one of the people I had caught up with like just randomly because I did a couple stand-up competitions out here locally in Baltimore. And I talked to him for a little bit, picked his brain, and he was talking about the bubble. And I'm like, man, the bubble at prep school, because you had mentioned the bubble, man. I'm like, yo,
Yeah.
there was a lot of amazing and wild times. And I'm just gonna reframe the question because you just dropped so many gems and I wanna,
Yeah.
but thinking about your military experience from whatever time you spent in the bubble to the time you transitioned out, like how can you talk about how do you really package and capture your military experience now that you're looking back as a veteran?
That's a tough question. Now that I have the benefit of some time removed from the military, I have to say, man, I just truly appreciate it for the experience that I received, the good and the bad, because in the end of at the end of the day, it wasn't the last stop for me. It wasn't the career that I was gonna stay at for 20 or 30 years, and then and some for some people it is. But for me, it wasn't the final stop, but it taught me so many foundational things. And I think you'll just hear that from every veteran, of course. But I also have to say that so much has changed recently with how the military's working, with how the government's working. So all that aside, my experience in the military was 100, man. I feel like back when we were going through, there was so many stand-up people that really were pushing you to your limit, and I needed that, and I wanted that, and I found a better side of me. West Point created a better version of me. I think it created a better version of you guys for all the things that we might have disliked about it, for all the time away from home, the fact that I left all of my high school, best friends, people that I grew up with, people that I was in the trenches with, and I never moved back. And now we text. I text with my old boys, and I'm like, and they're like, man, I wish our kids would have grown up together. But
Yeah.
the veteran lifestyle is you sort of move away and you never really come back home often for a lot of people. So there's good, there's great, and then there's some not so great. And all in all, man, I'm very proud to be a veteran. Just yesterday, I received this bracelet, unfortunately, and you have to say, man, some people that we know really they pay too high a price, and they're going to be missed forever. They're going to be missed forever. So it's just a hard line of business in many ways. And as you can tell, you know the action's not stopping anytime soon.
No, I was just gonna ask Esco because getting back to your location, right? You said LA previously, right? Now you said Colorado. Correct. So market wise, your brand, right? Where would you say market wise you think is the most successful? I guess like better markets, locations. Because I know East Coast, right? You're familiar with it, right?
Mhm.
Because we obviously were in school there forever, and then you get the Jerseys, the New Yorks. I'm from Virginia, Lamar's from Baltimore. So your brand, I guess, what I'm asking is just more so location preference, strategy, just getting into that business strategy. Where do you see so far, your best markets?
It tends to be those metropolitan areas that have those more progressive ideas around clean
Okay.
products. So it's going to
Makes sense.
be your Los Angeles, it's going to be your
Yeah.
Brooklyns, it's going to be your Seattles, and
Okay.
then there's pockets in the country that when you find out what they are, they're high income, low density areas, pockets in Idaho,
Oh, okay.
pockets in Ohio, pockets in South Carolina, and
Hmm.
they're not metropolitan areas, but they're areas that are very much onto this niche product, and
Okay.
we're happy to have customers across the country, and that's the kind of markets we cater to.
That's dope to hear. I'm glad you mentioned those additional areas too, because I was already thinking like more of the West Coast, right? So the fact you say, hey, we're branching out over there, you said to Brooklyn and stuff like New
Oh,
York.
oh yeah,
That's
people, people,
that's dope.
people know about us out there,
That's dope.
and LB, I'm a Jersey boy, so I
That's
so
I know. That's why I said Jersey. I said you got the East Coast, Jersey, yeah, Baltimore, New York, and I'm naming a lot of locations where most of us are from too. So that's probably why we also gravitated towards each other um, while we was at school too. So yeah.
oh yeah, oh yeah.
So you got a family now, right? You got a family. How do you balance all this?
Just every day's a mess like everybody else, man. You get through it. Some days we bring the kids to the office with us. Some days we have.
How many kids? Hold on. How many? So tell me back. How many? Like rewind. How many kids you got? What's
You guys
your
aren't ready for this. I'm about to drop.
In ages.
I'm about
In
to drop some
ages.
news. So I have 3 kids, and I have 1 on the way.
Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
okay.
So
Okay.
we're going to
And what's
4.
the ages?
So Elise is 11, and she's my baby girl. When I first met my wife, she was 4,
Okay.
and she quit. You know, she's my daughter. She became my daughter right away, and so she's my first. And then we had 2 baby boys back to back, Jacob and Samuel. Jacob's 5, Samuel will be 4 in a month in August.
Back to
And,
back.
yeah, people
I know
call them
that.
twins.
We
Man.
already know them
Irish
hard
twins.
times. That 1 and 2 year old part where they were like 1, 2, 2, 3. Just
Yeah.
Is that what you wanted to do, or was that just something where you just like, you know?
No, it just happened.
Mm.
Just blessings, man. And but it's been crazy with two toddlers like that. It's a lot. It's a lot. So really, when you say how have we been doing it, we just been keeping it afloat, man. Just juggling.
that's all you can do.
And like I said, my wife is the brainchild of the products, and if I'm an entrepreneur, my wife is the mega entrepreneur in the family, because once I met my wife, I really realized there's some people that are born with a certain skill set.
Yeah.
I have a skill set, but she's a born entrepreneur, man. She wakes up and she gets busy. So we hustle together, and we juggle the kids together, and that's how we're making it through.
He got you beat, Lamar.
Yeah, I got 8, 4, and 2. Be 2 in about a couple of weeks. So yeah, man, my hands are full too.
Yeah, man. They're wearing you down, bro.
They're wearing you down.
And I got a 4 and 6 year old, so I definitely remember those times.
You had a close gap too.
Yeah, that's why I was joking
Right.
with you when I said
Yep.
2 to 3, 3 to 4, 3.5. Yeah,
You had a newborn and you had a 2-year-old, right?
Yeah,
Nice.
gotta love it though. Gotta love it.
And you're loving it. Happy Father's Day, man.
Yeah, happy Father's Day to all of y'all.
What's one thing about fatherhood, man, you might share to say, like, yo, if you're a new father, existing father, maybe a challenge that you encounter daily, and like, how do you resolve it? Is there anything that like sticks out so much as the fatherhood for you?
Oh, challenges around fatherhood. I feel like for me, one thing that I'm solid on is I get home and I want to spend time with my kids. I'm not somebody that wants anybody to look after them. I want to be with them all the time. So I enjoy spending time with them. The thing is, where I would say to new parents and to anybody raising kids, you have to let them be in dangerous situations a little bit. I don't believe in helicopter parenting. They need to get messy. They need to break stuff. And when all that happens, the thing I've been teaching myself is you got to be gentle. You have to be gentle, man, because I'll get upset, man. 2 boys, they broke a door. They broke the wall of the door. The door flew open. They broke the wall. Yes, 2 days ago. There's always a dish breaking. There's always a glass breaking.
Yes.
Car's a mess.
I picture Esco with his feet up, changing the channel, and you hear something breaking. He like, who did that?
Yeah, man.
Hey,
I'm about ready to jab somebody, and I'm like, nah, that's not gonna work. That's not gonna work.
Yo, my son put paint on his baseball bat the other day. Now I gotta take it off with I gotta go get some paint thinner. Like I'm like Breaking Bad, like I'm Walter White or something. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Weird stuff every day that you have to fix, bro. You just can't leave stuff alone.
And it's just interest though. Like you said, you gotta be patient because some stuff is. Because I'll be honest, like sometimes when my little guy does stuff, it's like, man, you are trying to break this. Like, you're literally gonna bend this until it breaks, and then you look shocked when it's in 2. Like,
and you told them 100 times, you're gonna break it. You're gonna break it.
Yeah.
But until they do it, they don't really care, or they don't know.
Yeah, and this kind of ties into Lamar's things. I was thinking this too, is like, what do you, this day and age, me and Lamar, we talked in the past about Generation Alpha, raising kids differently, different generations. I'm sure you dealt with your things in the past growing up, right? That maybe you don't do similar to maybe how your mother or your father raised you, right? You try to tweak some things, and we have to because of society too, as well, right? All the exposure and certain things. So, what would you say is like most important that you try to instill in all of your kids as of right now that you think is important in this day and age?
I
Because you
suppose.
did kind of mention, you did touch on, exposing the danger a little bit, but anything else like,
And I think that would dovetail really well with what the first thing that popped into my mind, which was confidence.
Mm.
I want my kids to show up to the park and be like, "What's up? I'm Jacob. I'm Samuel. What's your name?" And so far, thanks be to God, that's what they do. They show
okay,
up and they're like, "Yo, I'm here. I'm playing. Let's do this." And I love seeing that, man. I don't
yeah,
want my kids hiding behind the tree. I don't want them run into a screen, run into a video game. I want them to be out there
yeah,
shaking hands and kicking ass,
social,
bro.
that
Yeah,
social dynamic, right?
yeah. You
Because
gotta
like,
get them. They gotta get into the world and get into the mix.
But like you said, the word delicate too coming back into play because I coached my son for baseball for 2 years now, and baseball is the number one sport where if you hit 300, you're gonna go in the Hall of Fame. That means you've hit 3 out of 10, which
Mm,
means 7 out of 10 times you're gonna strike out. You're gonna be out. And at 6, 7, 8 years old, when you strike out or you get out, the confidence goes down quickly. I
yeah,
mean, it sucks for a MLB player making $40 million a year to goes in a slump. What about a 6-year-old kid that just started a sport for the first time and he hasn't hit in 3 games? But he's really good. He's really fast. She is really fast. She's really good. So that confidence like that. And then I've seen my son, like my daughter, I've seen them at track practice or at an event with so much swag. They walk in like, yo, who's coming in second? Like that's how they're walking. But then I'm like, you have to bring yourself in the middle. Like, how do you gauge their swagger? You like, yo, what's up? Or is it like internal? Like I'm confident in myself. Or is it like I'm confident around others? Like, how do you teach confidence to your kids?
I I appreciate that because the way I interpret what you're saying is there has to be an aspect of resiliency when they get defeated or somebody doesn't want to
Yeah.
play with them or
right,
it doesn't go their way.
And
And
humility, right?
yeah, my 5-year-old right now, one of the things that he likes to say is, I can't do this.
Yep.
And they're gonna say that, they're gonna try something for
yeah,
5 minutes. I can't do this. So one of the things that my wife and I talk about is like we just have to tell him, we got to instill a mantra in his brain. I'm a hard worker.
Mm.
I stick with it. I'm committed. I'm determined. I keep
mhm,
at it. So I we don't I don't like to exercise, unnecessary praise. I want him to stick with the problem. I want him to feel not so comfortable when he can't do it. And to your point, how do you make them resilient, man? Resilient, emotionally resilient in a world that is getting addicted to just about everything.
yeah,
Just about everything. And shit, they got us addicted. That phone doesn't leave my side either. And I want to figure out how to untether from the phone.
separate a little bit from it. Yeah,
Yeah. So that's just a daily conversation in our house. Like, man, how do we prep them so when they get let down, they can bounce back? And I guess I use the word confidence, but you alluded to it, Lamar. It's that inner self worth that
Mm-hmm.
really has to come out. When somebody says their name, there's more. There's something in the name. That there's a whole reason why Shakespeare, wrote what's in a name. Well, there's a lot. There's a lot. There's identity, there's purpose, there's expectation, there's family lineage, there's heritage, there's tradition, there's values. All of this stuff is packaged in a little person, and they have to start feeling that inside of themselves. This is who I am. That sense of self. This is who I am. And he may not like it. She may not like it, but this is who I am. This is who I am. And I feel good about who I am. I just feel good about it. And it takes us 30, 40 years to get to that place. I want my kid to feel that way when he's 11 and 12.
yeah.
Mm.
Kind of tying in too as well. We talk sports a little bit here. Lamar's son, baseball, track. My son's playing coach pitch as well. Probably going to introduce him to football. Are your kids in any sports right now? Sounded like they were.
So we're just getting on the sports train. I got him throwing the 1-2. Jab's looking good.
That's what
He's
I was gonna say, because
rolling under the 1-2. So he's ready for that hook that's coming back. So he's getting prepared. But my wife doesn't want me to teach him boxing, but just yet, because
and I like that you said that, because we both play physical sports, right? Me and Lamar talk about this all the time. Football. Are you gonna let? And I get it at work because people know I play football. Are you gonna let your kid play football? Like,
yeah, it's a
and,
good
and
question.
it's crazy because as a former athlete, you definitely. I don't know how you don't think now with all the stuff that's out there, with possible things that brain wise that can happen to you from this sport, right? I don't know how you don't, contemplate, dang, should I really, let my son play this same sport knowing what I know now, right? So that's what I was going to ask you with boxing, but you say your wife was like, nah, you don't know, but would you consider that if your son was like, hey, I want to box, Dad? Let him go for it.
Hey, Dad, I want to box for the rest of my life.
No,
And he's only 5.
I don't see it happening. To be honest with you, I just don't see it happening. He's not going to say
Okay.
that, and my wife definitely doesn't want it to happen. And
Okay.
my thing is, we just have to teach him, because it's the gift that you can give him. Football. It's a gift that you can give him, and so you got to give him the gift, and he can take it from there. But there's going to be injuries. Ain't no doubt about it. And
Yeah, and that's the with sports,
going to be injuries, bro.
any
And,
sport.
What about the military? How you feel about
and I have to say, and that kind of ties into the veteran thing too, is what you're saying. Is that where you were going with it, Lamar?
Yeah.
Like, would do you want your kids to go to West Point? I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
First of all, you gotta get in there, right?
Yeah.
So,
But like you said though, like that's the crazy part though, is because when you, like Esco said, if you give your kid the skill, right? Our kids know we went to West Point. They have that knowledge. They all of a sudden have this skill. There may be that day where they're like, hey, Pops, I'm stepping in this ring. And they're like 15, they're 16 years old. And behind the scenes, you're like, yeah, let's do it. But then, the wife's like, no. But behind the scenes, you're like, oh, you looking good, though. You looking good. And that's what I feel like with football exposing, right? Like we expose them to, I never played baseball growing up, right? So I was big on that, exposing them to something that I wasn't as privy to. And he actually liked it. He enjoys it. But then exposing them to football and then exposing them to basketball, just giving them more of an array, right, to allow him to make that decision. Because like at the end of the day, it's like, am I going to push them towards football or West Point? No, per se. But at the same time, that conversation is already, in my head of, hey, if he tries to sway left or right, we just gonna have that discussion, if that makes sense. So.
Yeah, you'll have his back. If he says I'm going football, you'll be like, let's do this.
Yeah, the safest way.
But if he says I want to go join the military, you say you support him 100%. Then you said,
well, at some point, they're all going to tell you, I want A or B.
Yeah.
So
which is funny, Esco. When you got out the military, when you transitioned from the Army, I hate when people say get out. Like no one. It implies that you left your team or like you escaped or something like that. Like I just think about a transition, right? You were once serving, now you're still kind of serving. You're just not making an ultimate sacrifice, which is perfectly okay because less than half the 1% of the population even decided to join up, to be military service members. But anyway, as you transition out of the Army, you were doing a lot of different things right before you even started Daemon Brand. Like you found your identity through, your wife, which is an incredible story. And I really appreciate you sharing. But I got to ask you this because I know you got the looks, right? So you got out the military for a little bit when you transitioned. And did you pursue any acting career?
Oh yeah. So I feel like I had many lives. My first job outside of when I left the military, I drove straight to California and I was hell bent on getting into finance. So I got into finance and I did M&A for 2 years. And
M&A is
I did mergers and acquisitions with a boutique middle market investment bank. A gentleman there in Los Angeles was sending his son to West Point. His name is Lloyd Greif. He endowed USC Center for Entrepreneurship, the Lloyd Greif Center. So I got to work directly with Lloyd for 2 years. I tell that story because that's really where I learned business. I learned business from Lloyd Greif, and it means a lot to me. It doesn't mean as much to Lloyd anymore because I left Lloyd after 2 years, and Lloyd was pissed off. And I still have a lot of love for Mr. Greif. All that to say, I learned a lot of how the world works and what it really means to do commerce, you know, in America and internationally through that man. So that was the beginning of it. And then I left that business to try to write screenplays and pitch them and get them produced. And while I was doing that, I also had an agent when I was with an agency, and I did some commercial work, and I did some.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I got a few commercial gigs, and I got a few what they call guest appearances on a few TV shows. And it was I never took off. I was never a great actor. I'll be the first one to tell you. I did an actor studio out there with a really good, great Los Angeles known acting coach, Diana Castle. I was there for probably a year, and they'll attest to you. I am not the greatest actor. So I had a few gigs. More importantly, I did finish 3 scripts, one full feature and 2 TV pilots and TV Bibles, TV shows. I pitched those as well as I could. I made it to a few studio lots. Had a lot of great pitches with some real producers out there in LA, but nothing happened except one of them did get produced. It just didn't get produced by me. It got stolen. And that's a story for another day, but that's the stuff you learn in Los Angeles, man. And when you're young and when no one knows you and you're just out there trying stuff, you know, shit happens. So one of my passions, me and Jerg were one of 7 philosophy majors at West Point. So my
one
thing,
of 7?
yeah,
That's what I was about to ask. Like, one of 7. One of 7.
It was me, Jerg, and 5 other kids. So I liked writing.
What is
Jerg
this made up class?
writing. Huh?
I was like, what is this made up department?
Yeah, bro. That was it. It was a couple of rooms over at
It's in a couple of rooms. And they still split them up.
Everybody had their own classroom.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Even
Bro.
the 7 of them, they all had their own classroom.
Say hello to your classmates.
It was one table.
Here's the seating arrangements.
1 of 7.
So that was that department at West Point, man. Shout out to Dr. Tully.
That's dope, though.
No, 1 of 7. No, because that's some. I like Ray Dalio. I have a books. I need to get a bookshelf. I'm in my office right now, but I love Montesquieu. I've been reading more about Maslow recently, in his hierarchy of needs and like really like the theory of human motivation.
Yeah.
And I've been, I spent 3 years in Germany, so I was able to go to the Louvre and I was able to see a lot of museums. That's a lot of some of the artwork you see in the back, right? And I spent a year in Uganda with special forces, like deep in the bush. So that was like an amazing experience. And
talk about that. I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah. I mean, you know what I'm saying? You can't let everyone know I'm the Black Panther out here. You feel me? You know what I mean?
You came straight out of Wakanda?
Exactly. So I've always thought about philosophers, Greek philosophers. I want to ask you more about the philosophy stuff, but I think we interrupted you with a small laughter of your 7.
No, I was just giving the backstory, and so I lived in Los Angeles for 8 years, and bro, LA's a crazy city to get your feet up under you when you're fresh out of college. We had the military experience, but there's nothing. I don't think there's anything about being a military veteran that prepares you for going to live in Manhattan or Los Angeles. They're just animals, bro. They're just animals, and you show up and you kind of start going with the flow, and then you realize, oh shit, this flow may not be for me. And then you see some shit that you may not jive with, and you're like, oh damn, that's how it's working out here. So yeah, I'm on that Cat Williams train, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's what got me. Because when we we made that decision, right? And that's how honestly that's how dope I always thought you were. I know you bring that to the table. I didn't know you actually that was your major in a way either. I just kind of I had that feel that that's who you were, right? Philosophical philosopher type. So that's dope how that lines up. But when we first were gonna do the review, right? And I heard, the plan was, hey, let's bring Esco on, talk the review. I'm like, we need. Did I not say when I was like, hey, we need to chop it up with Esco? Right?
Absolutely.
I want to hear my man's give us some great feedback. And I thought you were in LA. That's what I'm really getting at is that. So when Lamar put the time out there, I was like, I'm pretty sure I understand these time zones by now in my life. That's not all the way 3 hours by. And I was like,
I'm not
where's
West
he
Coast
at?
anymore, man.
Yeah, it said mountain time. And then that's when I found out you made that move. So you kind of gave me that feedback of already what I was thinking, most likely assuming, I'll be honest, of why you maybe, say, hey, LA, nah, no go. And that lines up as well. So appreciate that feedback. But I think it's dope too that, you are in Colorado and I haven't been there. And
Oh
it
man,
seems like I always hear great things, but at the same time, I'm like, man, we gotta get out there for something. So I think that's dope where you're at right now.
it's a good place to raise a family, man. It's different.
Okay.
You can slow down a little bit more out here. It just depends on how you work it out. But yeah, we just like the movie Escape from LA. That was me smack dab in the middle of the COVID at 2020. I was like, man, I got to break loose. We got to get out of here. So that's what we did. And
Got you.
I knew Colorado because I had been to Fort Carson. That was my first duty station.
Okay, so that's how. Okay.
And the story behind Fort Carson was me and Dario Martelli. He's one of my best friends. We were roommates at prep, and we ended up being in the same company at West Point. We were like, ah man, we're gonna go to Hawaii. We're gonna kill it. We're gonna live in Hawaii, live in
Yeah.
large. And I had dream. At the time I was like, well, when that pick your post night came, I messed up the pack of going to Hawaii. And I picked Colorado. I picked Fort Carson because I wanted to try to make it to the WCAP team,
Yeah, that's where they were
boxing,
doing that
the
that
boxing
program
Olympic
out there. You're right.
program. So
Yeah.
and fell short of that. But the point is that's how I ended up in Carson.
Okay.
Yo, how good of a boxer? Like LB played football, right? And he was like all state and basketball, and like did all kinds of crazy things. Played with potential Hall of Fame football players and stuff like that. I'm from Baltimore. I just had to do what I had to do. I played with some good guys too, but they they couldn't make it past Baltimore sometimes, and that's just
Yeah.
what it
We
is,
know how
right?
that go.
But for boxing, I always feel like there's always been like this unique path, right? You hear about gold gloves. It's not as marketed as like football and basketball and track, baseball and all these other sports are. How did you just tell me about like what kind of fighter were you? And like, I didn't get a chance to see any of your fights live. I knew you was the truth, but you know what I mean? I'd be
Man,
polite when I be around you, you know what I'm saying?
no,
But
because this stuff has to live
I
on the
just didn't want
internet.
him to punch me.
You gotta really humble yourself because to my kids I'm Superman, but and to my wife I'm Superman. But the reality is once you get to those national tournaments, there's just top flight talent. And
mm,
I selected Fort Carson, and when we graduated, I went straight. We graduated in May of 2011. I went straight into another training camp because we graduated in 2011, and 2012 was an Olympic year, and so I was like, well, shit, man, there's still some qualifying tournaments. So I went back home to Jersey with our leave before you have to show up at Bolick, and I started training with my Jersey coach again, Bobby Rooney.
mm,
Shout out to Bob. And Bob has a great pro fighter right now. He's undefeated on overtime middleweight boxing tournament happening right now. He just fought in Houston. He won. Anyways, we went to Cincinnati, Ohio for what was called the last chance qualifiers in 2011. It was a way to qualify for the 2012 London Games. And long story short, I lost in that tournament to the Metro Golden Glove champion, the New York Metro Golden Glove champion, Patrick Day.
mm,
And it's a close fight. It was a good fight.
mm,
It wasn't a blowout. I didn't get blow. It was a great fight. He beat me on points. They have the point system down really well.
mm,
And I'll say Patrick Day was a great fighter. He was a really humble kid from New York. And going back to, would you want your child to fight? do boxing. Patrick Day, unfortunately, passed away.
Oh man.
I think he passed away around 2018, 2019. In the ring, he got knocked out by Charles Cromwell, and he died from his injuries. That was my last amateur fight was with Patrick Day. And Patrick Day, unfortunately, may he rest in peace. He died in the ring. So it's a tough sport, man. And I went to the Golden Gloves the year before I went to West Point. I was a finalist there, and I never won a Golden Glove, and that's something that's always hurt me, because if I would have stayed with Bobby, we would have went and got some jersey gloves, but I don't got the Golden Gloves, man.
And while you were telling that, I always think, because I'll be honest, out of all the boxers, I used to kind of joke with Johnny Garcia because he was in my company. So I ain't gonna hit him up now on here because he can't defend himself. But Danilo is the only other one I heard besides yourself that they're like, hey, Danilo has hands. Like, where did he line up with a similar path of that you were on, or did y'all ever have that discussion?
Danilo had a lot of speed. Had a lot of endurance, threw a lot of punches per round, and he had all the skills, man. He came straight out of the Bay Area, well coached. Came out of California Golden Gloves too, and and now he's coached Danilo. He's a USA boxing Olympic level coach, and I'm just gonna leave it at that. But he's got excellent big things cooking, man. He really does. Okay. So Danilo's making his own. He's making his own path in USA boxing, in the boxing world.
Yeah, that's my boy, man. Danilo, that's my boy. Yo, we be, my boy, man. We be joking hard body.
Danilo's one of those ones that stay real at all times. Like nobody can curve that man. Not even walking hours or no threat. No
at
threat.
the time, Carlos Mencia was out. I used to call him Carlos, and then
I remember that. Oh, out of nowhere, Carlos. Like, what?
I'm like, what's up, Carlos? And then he started calling me Craig from Friday. Because I think in that domain, like in that arena, that's really like, that's the joke, right? Is that's kind of who we are. That's how we look to everyone. So we just embrace that. And I'll just be like, yo, man, I need my grass cut, man. You can help me out.
Damn. Oh,
he'd be like, yo,
but he can dish it out. He's all right.
He'd be like, yo, you got some watermelon, some fried chicken. But now I see him on Instagram, man. Like, he be swimming on Fridays, every Friday, or swim pretty often, but I swim every Friday. I failed swimming at West Point.
Damn.
And now I swim by every Friday. What'd you say, yo?
So the class works.
They taught you, bro. You were what they called a rock.
Yeah.
You was a rock.
But they skipped me. They skipped me for some reason. They thought I was better than a rock, and they skipped me. So I went, instead of taking it my freshman year and just figuring out I wasn't good at it then, to keep working on it for the rest of my career or my Army or my time at West Point. I started at my junior year. So I didn't take the rock swimming for freshman year. I took it junior year and failed that, then had to stay for summer school going into my senior year.
I didn't know you had to stay for summer school for swimming?
Yeah, for swimming. I woke up every day and swam. That's all I did.
This guy had summer school for swimming.
Man, that stuck with you, huh?
Me and another fellow Black American. We were.
I didn't even know they did that. Not academics, but swimming.
It was the best ever, though, because
it probably was. It's swimming.
Now that I'm looking back, I'm like, damn, that's all we did was get up.
Yeah, like I didn't know they did that. That's crazy.
Teach you how to swim.
And that's a nice extra work, though, bro. It's better than being left behind.
I did Calc 1 in the summer, followed by a nasty workout at the stadium after. It was not fun at all. Each and every day was not fun.
LB was in the swimming class with me, though, at prep school, though. We was in the 3 feet water. Trying to float on our back.
No, do you remember Esco? You remember Cam Reed?
Oh yeah. So
it was the funniest thing ever. We're in class. Cam is like struggling to swim, right? And then he just stands up and the water is at his ankles. Like, whoa.
Like 6'6",
because he's
huge, man.
He's like literally like he's like looking like he's drowning. I'm like, oh, he's drowning, and he just stands up.
Oh, man. Because I'm on kind of like how you have the Daemon brand, right? I'm on a higher mission to myself. Like if I could really do it, I'd be like, yo, all minorities, give them the inspiration, motivation, just learn how just to try to learn how to swim. You know, instead of being at the pool party with a t-shirt on and hanging around the pool, like get in, swim, show off, dive, just be different. Big tangent there, bro. I really thank you for sharing what you shared about your boxing career. Were you gonna say something right there? I had
Well,
a couple
I was gonna be. Is it really that common?
that. Oh hell yeah! Like
Oh yeah, you talking about like African Americans or black
Not
people
being
not
able to
being able to
swim.
swim? Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely,
I
absolutely.
mean, I even like I said, I did comedy for a little bit, and I some part of playing with the crowd. Like, look, I asked the white guy, I was like, "Look, can you swim?" He's like, "Yeah, sure." And like, I was asking him, I'm like, "Can you swim?" And he was started looking around and started getting
Oh
antsy, and
man,
you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's what my joke was. I'm like, man, you ask black people if they can swim, they start getting antsy because they're gonna say, "How
oh
deep?"
man.
What you
Yeah, they
mean?
go. It's
That's
always some
wild, bro.
factors.
I can float. Like,
Is it dark?
swim.
Is it dark outside? You're like, what? I just asked you. What are the elements? Oh man, it's funny too, Lamar. You bring that up because literally I had a conversation with somebody like a few days ago, and I was weak because I was like, look, I asked you, could you swim? And you still have not answered the question, but you have given me 3 minutes of feedback. Like, which one is
Did that really happen recently?
that really happened?
Oh
That
man,
really happened.
wow.
Because it's funny because like the thing is like with us, the behind
After
the
three
scenes is
minute
like
answer.
when you do ask like a black person, can they swim? It's gonna be like very thought out. So for me, I'm like in the pool, I'm good. I'm not gonna say put me out in the ocean, but in the pool, good, right?
Nah,
But
nah.
if I'm in that Atlantic, like you said, like and if you catch me in Jersey water or down at the ocean front where I was today, I'm not going way out there. Like I'm not that type of
No,
swimmer.
but Esco, when he says put me in the pool, like that's very arbitrary. Like how deep
Yeah.
are you gonna swim back to forth? They might go like, and then stand up, be like, I told you I could swim, but like, no, yo, like
Well,
swim
that answer gets long and qualified. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can
But
swim
that's why,
about three or 4 feet.
yeah. Nah, you right though. Oh man, because you remember Rod too, yo. Rod J. Funny story with him too, man. Because this is the test. We talked about rock swimming, right? So I don't know if you even had to deal with this, Esco, but they took all of us, and I'm not gonna say it was a race thing, but I'm with Rod, put it that way.
Hey, and I'm watching.
And we're doing the test. We gotta swim down and then we gotta come back.
Oh,
Right. So Rod, in my head, I'm already ready. I already know this is gonna be funny. Right. So he pushes off the wall underwater.
all right.
So he's supposed to go down and back. So already in my head, I'm like, he's not gonna make it.
He's not gonna make it.
He's underwater. How's he gonna do that? Oh man. So next thing you know, he comes up. He's like,
He comes,
and the lady puts the hook in.
oh no.
She's like pushing him off the wall, and I'm like, yo, can we push? Oh man, I was done.
Wait, they pulled out a hook, man. They were using a hook on Rod.
Yeah, a hook to try to. He was trying to grab it because he pushed off the wall in the water, man.
Have you ever been hooked, Esco?
No.
You see, I've been hooked too. I've
Me
been
too.
hooked.
Me too.
We've been fished out of the water, yo, like some fish.
Esco would have been the one, bro. He would have been the one getting us. But yeah, there is definitely
If you
stories
ask Rob
behind that.
before he swam if he could swim, he might be like, "Yeah, I'm all right," and he was all right,
Hey, you would have been weak, man. You seen it, man.
That's great.
So,
Yeah, man.
So even then, though, we talking about swimming and all that, Esco. So me and Lamar talk about how bodies change, right? So I was the hamstring guy. That's what the behind the scenes jokes were with me with football. Hammy pulls every other game. Come in, ball out. Next game, hammy. Practice, hammy.
Street clothes.
Right? Street clothes, right? Hanging, chain on. Sideline.
Brown.
But so you know, and Lamar, you know, the back thing, right? So we talk about how we adjust workouts this day and age, and you know, like what are we doing? Because I tell people really, really quickly, I don't bench. There's no reason for me to bench 285 anymore, right? I'm not taking on linemen from Rutgers or nothing like that, right? And Lamar, same thing. He talks about it, just adapting our workout to like where we're at. Do you have that same? Do you find yourself in that same boat? How often do you work out? Like, what do you got going on?
I was in the back camp for sure, man. I
Oh,
always
okay.
pulling my back and back strains and the whole shit got locked up. Can't move, can't turn. So yeah, I don't lift heavy.
Okay.
These days at best, I go on a jog, man.
But you
Go on,
still can jog it out.
yeah, I just
How
that
many miles are you able to hit?
well
Or do you
I
try to stay?
really only do like 2 miles
That's what I was gonna
max.
say. You try to stay at like about 2. Yeah, I got you.
You still
When
look
I
good though, man. Are you eating like just rice or something? Like
yeah, we eat well at home, but you know, I just always been thin.
Okay.
I don't really put on much weight. I've always just been kind of lean, and I don't really add too much weight. But you know, I'll just do jogs, man, and that's
Okay.
about the extent of it right now. Unfortunately,
Really?
I'm actually trying to work on the garage right now to put the whole gym in there
Okay.
and get that set up. But
Get a little back into it a little deeper.
yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
got you.
man.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
you definitely probably don't know this, but I tore my Achilles last summer. So I literally jogged for you. What were you about to say?
what were you doing?
Well, I'll tell you this: I wasn't walking. No, I tried to take off on the sprint, man, back pedal sprint, and then
Uh,
as soon as I did, boom, went down, held
you
the
just
foot up.
popped.
The wife heard it pop. She was
hold
on.
on, why
Oh,
were you backpedaling sprint? Were you in the middle of a football game?
Stop, stop,
you playing flag
stop.
football or what,
It
man?
was. I saw a raccoon. The backpedal. Then all of a sudden the raccoon ran. I planted and sprinted. Went down.
That's
Yeah, man.
crazy, bro.
So I did this around this time last year. Me and Lamar actually had plans like 2 days, July 4th weekend. So I had to call him on that Monday or Tuesday. I'm like, bro, it ain't happening. Like, it's gone. So I say all that to say, like, we're coming back on a year. So I told Lamar, I want to say this week, this is my first time being able to actually try to jog in almost a year. So that for me mentally, that's the mind thing, right? Because as we age in our head, a lot of times your brain is like, I'm good to sprint today. But you're like, hold up, pump
Well,
them brakes, right? So that's the fight I think former athletes like, you know, like yourself, you may deal with is, hey, today I'm feeling good. Let me maybe try something.
bro, the best story I have for you, like 2 months ago, because I haven't been doing that much, I finally looked at my wife and I was like, man, I'm frustrated. I feel slow. I feel lethargic. I need to get out. I need to break out of the routine. So I show up to a boxing gym here in town, and I just first time walking through that door. It happens to be the night they're sparring, and
Uh-oh.
so so I'm hitting the bag, right? I'm hitting the bag for like 9 or 10 rounds at this point, and
Feeling
then
good.
and so I'm feeling good, and everybody kind of notices, like, oh shit, he knows what he's doing. So a couple of guys come say hello to me. Nothing, you know, people in the gym, like, you know, you recognize, oh, he knows how to box. He knows him. Da, 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 da. So we're saying what's up, and then by the end of it, they're like, yo, you want to spar? And I was like, you know what, I do. And so I get in there, bro.
How many people casually say that? Like if Lamar asked me that, I'd be like, oh,
Bro, a whole gym full of
how
strangers.
Get a 3-minute answer. What are the elements?
is it dark?
It's a lot. Yeah, you got a lot of responses, but
Yeah,
for
so
me, it
you
was
said
just like,
okay.
yeah, no, I would love to spar, man. Let's do it. And so I jump in there, bro, and the first thing I'm doing, you know, I'm doing well. I'm holding my own. This, you know, the guy's been in there training every day, but bro, right away, man, shoulder just gave out. Shoulder just not working. I was like, damn,
What?
I can't even throw a jab right now. And it's just one of those things when you're not doing it every day, when you're not
Yeah.
training, shit just starts popping out of nowhere. So
So
literally,
how
I'm in
did
there
that
just
sparring
one
session?
handed. I'm just like,
How did the sparring session end then?
and it ended up with me giving him some body shots, bro. And
Oh snap!
that
You
was
still came out on top. Oh,
Um,
you not.
but
People don't talk
when you
about.
went to go, what were
Yeah.
you thinking though when you drove
we
home
don't
after?
talk. We don't talk. We don't talk about that.
I missed that. Like, what were you thinking when you drove home after? Were you like, why did I?
Nah,
At any point, were you like,
I would know. First of all, I was happy. I was like, I still got it, but your body falls apart.
yeah?
Your body literally falls apart.
But your mentally though is like, you're like, I'm good,
You
feeling
can't
good.
you can't just jump in the ring and start doing it
Yeah,
again.
you
You really
can't.
can't
You
because
can't.
all those guys
Yeah,
are 10 years younger than me, and I know the tricks of the trade. So you can set a trap, you can feint,
yeah.
you can do leg pumps, you can do leg fakes, whatever, and all of that will work. But they're younger guys; they don't have as many fights, they're not as experienced. In that case,
Yeah.
if I would have shown up to a gym and it's a bunch of killers and they're all professional fighters, I'm getting knocked out. That's
And-
for sure that's happening. Matter of fact, right now, Terrence Crawford is in Colorado Springs
oh,
training for his next big fight. The Eagle has landed, bro. He's in town and he takes over the gyms around here, bro.
Mm.
okay. That's what
I
I
don't
was going.
think.
I'm glad you brought him up. So I was going to
Yeah.
say, like, I was thinking earlier, for those that maybe casual fans that watch boxing when,
Are you?
yeah, like that watch boxing every now and then when maybe I'm not that casual as Lamar's putting it, but for the casual fan,
For the Keyshawn
that,
Davis fan?
the ones that are like, oh, I'm going to B-Dubs tonight because there's a fight, right? Who are the up and comers? I'm always interested in that, like, especially from individuals such as yourself. Like, who would you name to be like, hey, this is probably the next person to watch? Lamar knows I talked Keyshawn Davis from this area. You know what I mean? As an up and comer, just looking for that big fight, right, to take him over that edge. But who would you say? A few names that you would say, hey, this is somebody to watch.
I think the first person I would put up there is Xander Zayas from
Okay,
Puerto Rico. He's signed with Top Rank, and he's gonna be killing folks. He's a killer. He's just a killer. He's a big welterweight, big middle. He's a big middleweight, big broad back. Has all the great technique, and they'll be putting him on a big fight soon. He's just not ready for a Bud Crawford yet. But you'll start
okay.
hearing his name a lot more because they're gonna start moving him with some big names.
Yeah, he had a fight a couple weeks ago.
Huh?
He had a fight a couple weeks ago, right?
Yeah, he was.
I didn't know how impressive he was, though.
That people, the commentators were kind of hard on him because it's Puerto Rican Day parade in New York City. It's the Madison Square Garden ballroom. He sells it out, and he's fighting a journeyman with lots of fights, bro. And he doesn't
Yeah,
knock him out. He doesn't finish him.
Right.
But at
yeah,
the end of the day, my man is probably 19 years old. He's in
right.
there with somebody that's probably 30 years old,
A little more
probably
seasoned.
has 27, 30 fights. You can't knock everybody out.
Yeah,
For somebody to get knocked out, there has to be two to dance. They have to want to win the fight. And some people step in the ring to survive. And you can't knock somebody out when they're just backpedaling the whole time and looking to block. So,
yeah.
it wasn't his best performance, but still very solid. And he was unfazed, unscathed.
No, I believe that, but I think Top Rank and ESPN they want to have more. They need more exciting fights. What's going on here? They need more exciting fights
Bro,
because that is the sport of boxing, right? It's like you want it to be exciting. I'm okay for an artful fight, but I love Joe Tessitore. I love Timothy Bradley Jr. I don't think that I wasn't listening to everything that they were saying, but I would love to see Zayas go in there and move up. Keyshawn Davis, LB's boy, he put Pedraza out of there. Like
yeah.
that's going to make me want to watch him, and I think that's so they set a standard over there, and because they got Tank over at PBC,
Yeah.
that is just 8-round TK or KO. See ya, KO.
Lining
Bye.
them up. Just
Yeah.
lining them up.
Knocking them down.
Next.
It's
He's
crazy.
next.
The names are big. Like it's Pitbull, it's Rolly, it's Frank Martin. It's like these guys are legit.
I'm gonna push back on that a little bit because Rolly
I know
is
you
not
will.
a big
That's
name
okay.
in boxing, bro. Rolly is a contender that's been pushed up by PBC because PBC has a stable of fighters that they're moving the way they move it. You can't take anything away from Tank Davis though. Tank Davis is the real beast.
Well, Rolly was once a champion, and I think he's still up to 140. He's not the best fighter. He's not a Lomachenko, right? He's not a top tier fighter. I mean, there's only so many. For what I mean, I remember seeing him in the Barclays. I went to the Barclays and I watched that fight. Man, that thing was sold out.
Yeah.
It takes two to tango. I think Shakur Stevens one of the best in the business. And now let me ask you this question, bro. I don't want to take over, but no, LB's not a casual fan, of course. But I follow it.
Well, you felt bad. Why did you bring that up, Randall?
He apologized.
No, man, because I just
Randall. He said in the middle of my comment, "I'm sorry, you're not a casual fan."
My due respect to LB. Knowledge boxing.
I know you don't follow boxing as much as you do other sports, yo. But I don't know.
That's true though. That's true though.
What fighters
I can't tell you about anything. I can't tell you about any other sport. Not the NBA finals, not football, nothing. I got nothing. And
okay, so you don't watch any of those. Okay.
Nah, I'm a one trick pony.
So what fighters do you like, and what fights would you might want them to see then for the sport?
After Bud Crawford beat Errol Spence, the only fight I want to see is Bud and Canelo.
Yeah, that's the one.
But
not Benavidez, Canelo.
It doesn't make as much money, and it's not as exciting. Benavidez he might beat Canelo, and he's like a mauler. He's like a straight up oversized mauling character. He has a very good chance of beating Canelo. But Canelo and Terence Crawford kind of fighting at their peak. They're both a little bit older. Benavidez is younger.
That's what we said about Canelo.
They both should get that crowning achievement, like two champs meeting in their prime. They're kind of both in their 30s, and have this mega fight that's international, because Crawford's the American, living the American dream right now, and Canelo's the Mexican sweetheart. So that's a huge fight. So I would want to see that. That's a mega fight.
I don't know if Canelo can cut down 154, because I think that's where the fight would be at.
They would have, Crawford would have to move up a little bit, and people think it's it can't be made, but
And that's what I was going to ask, and I don't know that, and this kind of goes to you too as well, Lamar. Is like what weight class division is like what's the most entertaining right now? Because like you said, somebody would have to drop down to 154, right? Canelo. You talk certain boxers, certain weight class, Keyshawn, his division. Like, what's the most entertaining right now out there? You think it's the heavyweights or the welterweights? Like, what division is? What weight class is what I'm asking? Do you think is more entertaining than others? Or does it matter? It might not even matter, right?
It's a hard time because you see these guys like Tank, Inoue, Stevenson, De Los Santos, all of these smaller fighters who are putting together really good shows, and then you have Riyadh season putting together these mega fights in the heavyweight division with the Euro fighters, and that's selling out like crazy. But I personally don't feel a huge attraction to Usyk and Fury personally. That's just me. And so I have a bias. I was a welterweight, so I love the welterweight to middleweight division. That's the stuff that I like to follow. So for me, I'm always gonna skew to, I want to watch Bud Crawford. I want to see I want to see him dominate. I think he could beat Canelo. That's how much I believe in Bud Crawford. He can beat Canelo.
130, 135, 140, 147, 154. I think it's 160 and 168. Yeah, but you were at welterweight, so 147. So what do you walk around as?
Right now I'm at about 165.
So even at school, were you walking around at that type of weight?
No, at school I was a trim like 152. So I had to cut nothing but 5 pounds.
You weren't one of those that had to cut crazy, because I do remember some of the pointers.
Yeah, they had to start for like 2 or 3 weeks, but that wasn't me, bro. I would just I would leave the milk on the table.
Because I used to get, man, and that's what gets me. I asked that question even if I asked it poorly, but like when I'm watching the fight, because the fighters look the same. So in my head, I'm like, oh, and then like they put the weights up there. It's like, 130. I'm like
122.
I'm like, give me him right now. Give me him right now.
No way.
But it gets me because it's like when you're watching obviously on TV, you don't realize like a lot of times like, this dude's walking around at 135, 142, like you said, and that at no point in time would I think that was Esco either at school. I knew some of the ones that you definitely knew that, like he said, that they were cutting hard. like
Yeah.
literally skin and bones all of a sudden, or some of them just accept and move up, weight classes. And I think that's the, part as well that I remember back in the day when, watching boxing is Hall of Famers that, they kind of did it all, right? They jumped weight classes and won multiple weight classes, right?
It's crazy.
So I think that's a skill too, right? Because Esco could probably attest to it, is like the game changes, you know what I mean, from just the sheer changing the body dynamics and obviously power punch, like, things like that. I'm sure Esco could break that down too, that like how serious it is if you're going to leave one weight class and all of a sudden, jump up to the next weight class. Because it sounds simple, right? But, I'm sure you could say it's not at all to
It's
do.
not, bro. Yeah, I mean, going back to my dream fight, Canelo and Bud Crawford. Canelo is swinging on people with these wide hooks. They look like baseball home run swings, bro. That's
Yeah.
how, and he just cracks. And Bud Crawford is a little bit different. He obviously can hit very hard. He's knocked out plenty of people, but he surprises people with punches that they don't see, angles that they don't see. He's very unconventional. He's kind of a surprise fighter. He can fight from any position,
Okay.
and so that's why I just think he's so special, and could potentially move up a bit in weight and give up.
Okay. So you think he could?
I think so, but
Okay.
he would know better. But we'll see, man, if that happens. But and then there's guys like Tank Davis who could probably continue to crack with people and move up a weight class and still have power, because he's got power for days right now.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Frank Martin took an uppercut and was just stunned. Both of his arms just fell right to his lap. Oh, it was over. And then obviously the next left hand put him out for good. But bro, when you get stunned like that, that's major pop.
He was setting traps all night, and he got stuck on those ropes. And once he got stuck there, and Tank cutting him off, I was like, "Oh, the boy."
And
But
how many times have we seen that uppercut too? I mean, he kind of did
Leo Santos like that, right?
same kind of setup. Leo Santos got that upper
Yeah.
right in the ropes. Out. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
He's just
Crazy.
an athlete. Yeah, he's just an athlete. I love his backstory.
I like the
Yeah,
way he
man.
handles himself too. He's not really kissing ass with no promoters. You don't want to hear shit from Floyd. You don't want to hear shit
Yeah.
from Golden Boy. He's just taking care of business.
Yeah, 100%. And that takes maturity and a higher version of yourself, right? You know what I'm saying? Like we talk Daemon brand.
Top dog right now. That's it.
He is, man. I hope he continues to elevate, to be honest with you. He's just one of them ones. It's like that mantra. It's like you said, when you come in the house and you say you're the one in MGM Grand with Benavidez and your undercard, like you're the anyway, man. We could talk boxing all night, man.
What are we pushing? Yeah, it's been an hour and a
We
half.
pushing.
Yeah.
We pushing.
And we pushed it easy too. See how easy it is.
We pushed it easy, man. So anything else, man, you want to wrap out, man? Because I'm gonna give you your flowers, man. I did this because I love your product. When the stars align and I need some good stuff, I know who to call. I know who to call. I know to call Daemon brand, man. So
we got 2 new scents dropping tomorrow, man. We got
Okay.
Poet's Wife, floral deodorant, and we have Valencia, a more gender neutral.
Valencia.
Okay. So everybody in the house can use it.
Dropping new
Nobody
scents
in the house should stink when that's in the house.
Nah, man, no.
Let's go. He visits your crib. He gonna just walk in. Anybody's crib he walk into, he's like, oh. That's dope though, man. That's a big deal, man.
Yeah, I really appreciate you taking the time out your busy schedule to talk family and talk boxing, talk your military transition, your whole Daemon brand, your movement, man, and catching up, man. This was amazing.
Yeah, appreciate it, man.
I appreciate you guys for inviting me. And I'm sorry I cut you off, the LB, but you guys have a special thing going on. You guys have great energy, great dynamic, and I'm happy to be a part of it. So thank you for the invitation.
I appreciate you, Esco.
Anything else, LB, for the team, Beans?
Nah, man. I was just gonna say, Esco, same thing. Just appreciate it, man. And the biggest thing is transparency. Lamar, me and him talk all the time. Very transparent. So I respect that a lot, because a lot of people shield things, especially when they're doing, sometimes great things, right? They don't want to kind of give the answers to the test in a way. And I can tell that's not you. You know, you're always looking. Whoever wants these nuggets, you're like, hey, take the nuggets. You know, you're making it easy. Like you might not realize it, you know, but that those little nuggets you're dropping that and people are picking up, like you're making it easy for somebody to, you know, maybe not fall into certain traps, right? Because I'm big on that too. Is that with any of my friends, anything I experience, I'm like, hey, I don't want the next person. Like you said, maybe foolish moves, right? We talked about being foolish, and it's like, you know, you're my boy, Mars my boy. Anybody back in the day, we know for sure. If they ever came to me like, hey man, I know you did this. Give me some feedback. I'd be like, hey, I did this, but I would suggest do this the other way so you don't experience what I did. So that's how I felt. You were very honest and transparent with us the whole time, and all these people out here, you know, they got the real Esco. And I appreciate you, man, for taking the time. I appreciate
Real Esco.
Thanks,
the
man.
real Esco.
Hey, man, that was heartfelt. Thanks, LP.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
All right, man. We gotta get you back on next time, man, for another episode, man. Great chilling.